G'day guys, Butcher Benny T here with another video. In this one I'm going to go through just a basic cut up on a pig. So I'll do both shoulders into roasts, bone-in roasts. I'll do some pork belly off one belly, and then I'll cut some spare ribs off the other one. I'll do some pork cutlets and a rack of pork. I'll do 2 lots of loin chops, and I'll just cut the back legs in the roast as well. So for a start, I'll take these back legs off. So if you come around here, I can just, for a start to get the legs off, just poke your knife around through there, and you'll feel the knife go into one of the vertebrae. Cut through it, around there. That'll just break through the vertebrae. Legs are off, like that. We'll leave those there. We'll run this through the saw. I'll run his shoulders off. You want to be just past the elbow, probably about 2 inches. So there's the elbow, 2 inches. You're about there, depending on how big your saw is. And to get this to flow through the saw well, I just put a little bit of water on it because it just makes it slide. Water's not going to hurt the meat. So just put that on there. We'll run those shoulders off. You'll see I'm just on the edge of his shoulder blade. You can see that little bit of cartilage there on the edge of the shoulder blade. Now I'll split them down the middle. So I hold him by his two legs there. Flip him up, you want to go straight through the middle. That's pretty good. Just get your knife and scrape that bit of bone dust off there. For a start. Then you just want to trim all this out of here. This is where he's been stuck, and there's some glands and stuff in there, so just trim all that out. There's one along the front here, you want to get rid of that. That's not very nice, so get rid of that. Anything else that looks a bit ordinary, I just take the end of this rib off there, across the brisket. Then what we want to do, we want to take what you call a hand of pork, which is his front leg. Now the joint in there, which joins into his shoulder blade, it's his leg bone into his shoulder blade. And it should be about there, but we'll find out once we cut it. So you just want a straight line across there. You can cut that through to there. Then we'll score this pork. So you can use a Stanley knife, but I use this knife, it's pretty sharp. So score it however wide you want to do it. You only want to mark through the skin, you don't want to be cutting right into the meat. So I'll just go along and score it like that. All the way along there. Along there. We'll flip him over, we'll get under here. Like that. That's all scored there. You can see that just through, there's a little bit into the meat, but not much. Then this way, this roast will be cut this way. So there's a big jumbo jet there, I'll get rid of him. So same again, just score that. Like that. We'll cut that end off in a minute. Now I'll just cut that into 2 roasts, so just mark him there. Sit that there, I'll run that through the saw in a second. Do the same with this side. Just scrape that bit of bone dust off. Get rid of that. And we've got this, cut that bit of brisket bone off there. And any of this other stuff that's under here, like I said, there's those glands and just where he's been stuck with the knife. We'll get rid of all that. Like that. Chuck that away. That's pretty good. Same again. Nice and square there. Mark him. I'll cut through that in a second. Just score that. Again. Flip him over. Under the leg there. That one. We'll mark that. there, you can see right there, is that joint I was talking about. There's his joint, that's the edge of his shoulder blade, so I've hit that spot on there. Now we'll score this one this way. Like that, you can see that all opened up. That'll crackle up beautifully. Alright, I'll run these through the saw. Some people like to, I'll just take this hand off first for a start. Take the hand off and you want to joint that. So you just put a little joint in there on the elbow side. So and that sort of sits in there. Then we'll cut through this one. Now some people will sit that up and joint that through there like that, but if you cook these right, it's easier to get the bone out in one piece. So I don't bother jointing that because I just think it makes more of a mess. So that's how I'll take this end off the neck as well. That one, do the same to this one. Straight through this one, which I haven't marked with a knife, so I'll do that like that. There's all our 4/4 roasts right there, except for I haven't taken the end of that, forgetting things. There's six 4/4 roasts there. Bloody slide. Right, now we'll do the loin. We'll run that straight through the middle now. That's pretty good through the middle. Now we'll take our belly off. Because we're doing loin chops and a rack and that, we'll just mark that through about there. There's our where the ribs are, it's a rack. Same as this one. Mark that through there. We'll run that off. Now, it doesn't matter if we're doing a rack or the cutlets or the ribeyes or whatever. Got to take this chine bone off, which is that one there. I like to hold the saw on an angle and run the saw through just to take that off there. So I'll hold that, get that sitting there nice and steady. Taking that off there, you can see what I've taken off. Haven't cut into the eye at all. So that's one. We'll do this one. So we'll do this one into a rack for a start. Trimming nothing off under there. You just want to take the rest of this back off him. So just run your knife along there. Now, unlike a lamb, there's no paddy whack in there, so you don't need to worry about that. The only thing you do need to worry about, which isn't a big deal, is there's a little bit of shoulder blade in there, which we'll take the end off first and then we'll do that. So just straight across there, we'll take that off, which will expose the ribs. Chuck that down there. We'll take this little piece of shoulder blade out of this little bit. It's really not even the shoulder blade, it's just cartilage. You can see it there, there's not much, but we'll chuck that out of there. Then we just want to run our knife through and get these intercostals out between the ribs. Like that, knife up and down. take that the little piece of bone there, we'll get rid of that. Chuck that over there. Now I might pineapple score this. Just looks a lot better and nicer when you cook it. So the pineapple score it, you're on a 45 each way, so just like that. Then we'll go the other way. And you can see why it's called a pineapple score. It's got a pattern on it. Chuck that down there. Right, now we'll cut this one into cutlets or little ribeyes. So it's pretty much the same, only we're not scoring it and we're not, but we're cutting them into chops. Same again, take that little piece of backbone off there. That little bit of cartilage is in there, so we'll get that in a second. Through that. All these offcuts I'm chucking, they're chucking in a clean bucket and they'll be gone through, and I'll trim it out for sausage meat and whatnot. Take that little piece of cartilage out. Now you could take those intercostals out, but I reckon it's pretty tasty, so I leave it in there. So we'll go and cut these into chops. Little piece of bone there, we'll get rid of that. Again. Now there's no bone along there, so I can just cut between the ribs. You can see how easy that's going through. Like that. The last one won't have a bone in it, but you're always going to get that in butchering. You can see that. That's a bloody beautiful pork cutlet. Chuck them down on the table. Give the hands another wipe. It's pretty greasy stuff, so keep your hands clean and dry, makes it easier to hang onto the knife. Right, so these will be the loin chops. We could bone these out and do pork steaks, but I'm going to cut them both. I prefer the bone, so I'll do loin chops for both of them. Take that bit of fat out over there, a little bit more there. Piece of bone there we'll take out. Another bone here which will come out. You can see that. That's just one of the rib bones. Trim him out of there. Out he comes. Trim this one up. Same again, there's a piece of bone in that one. Take that out of there. That one's not going to come out as easy, so we'll leave him there. Trim this bit of fat out. There. Like that. Then we're ready to slice them. You could just run them straight through the saw, but with pork I like to cut them with a knife first. So I'll trim that. You can see that edge of that backbone there, that bit of vertebrae. I'll trim that off with the saw when I start. But I'll mark these. So you can cut these as thick or thin as you like. You can see what I'm cutting them at there. It's probably about maybe not quite an inch, I suppose. Just through to the bone. Sit in there. Same as this one. There. Now when you get to this point, I probably should have pointed out that one, you've got to make a decision whether you're going to do 4 thinner ones or 3 thicker ones. I'll probably do 4 thinner ones. I've got more kids, so feed a family if I cut them a bit thinner. 1, 2, 3, 4. But you could do them thicker, obviously. Rightio, so now running them through the saw. Keep your fingers out of the way. Really pull it open out of the way so your knuckles aren't in on the saw or anything. One like there, cut this lot. Now we'll do our pork. I'll do this one in the pork belly and then I'll cut the next one into ribs. So in here, that's just his brisket bone. So you cut through that, just trim that edge off there. That'll go into the bucket to be sorted out later. Grab onto this belly fat here. That just peels off, that peels off really easy. Like that. Flip him over. All pigs, because they're not scudding, they've still got nipples. You can see them there, 2 nipples. So you don't want to cut right through there. I just shave them off because they're not very enticing to eat. They won't hurt you, but they just don't look that good. And for this, I'll just straight score this this belly. So once again, nice and even, which not that it really matters, but it just looks better when it crackles up. There it is there. Beautiful. I'll cook that in 2 pieces, so I'll just cut that in half. There's our belly. I'll cut this one into spare ribs. So same again, go through that brisket bone. You can see that, it's only cartilage. It's pretty easy to go through. Chuck that away there. Take this bit of belly fat off. Really good to put in sausages and that. So that's why I'll sort through that after this and get out what I need from it. Same with that. Flip him over. Those couple of nipples again, get rid of those. Now with your spare ribs, you could just cut them through the ribs, but you'll see they're going to be pretty thick. So I like to actually cut them at the thickness I like and run them through the saw. So just with your knife, just mark them through. You'll hit the bone. Obviously you're not going to cut through the bone because we're not going between them. So just mark them with your knife until you get to a certain point. You'll get about 2/3 of the way down and normally you'll stop getting that bone. Just that. We're cutting through without that now. Through that. Pull that out. Those ones are going to be cut. Those ones are already done. We'll get that through the saw. There's our spare ribs, chuck them on there. Now onto the last bit, the legs. You could bone this out into steaks or you could cut chops off it, but I'm going to cut him all into roasts. So what you want to do, put your arm in there, with the knife come down through that. You'll cut through his hip bone. You can see that I've just gone through, that's only cartilage, so it's pretty easy. And if you come through here, same as you might have seen me on lamb if you've seen the lamb one, there's a bit of cartilage up through here and you want to get in between that and his hip will drop straight out. There's one side, just there. Get this one to go. Same again, you can see right there, there's a joint in the hip. That'll come out, that'll take his whole tailbone out, and I'll trim that up for sausages as well. There's his tailbone out of it. Sit that to the side. Now we want to just trim this up a bit. It's not too bad, it's pretty good pork, it's not real fat. It's actually really nice pork. There's a gland in here we want to get rid of. Same with this bit of skirt. I'll just trim that little bit of skirt out of there. You can see that gland's in there, we'll get rid of that. Another one right down the bottom there. Get rid of that. Trim this little bit of fat off. The fat won't hurt you, you could leave it in there if you wanted to, but I'm going to get rid of it. Pretty good. You can see that's pretty clean, so I'll flip him over, I'll score this now. Same as the all the scoring I've done. Along there. Along the back. Keep the knife sharp. just with the point of your knife. Like I said, you can buy pork scorers or get Stanley knife, whatever, but I like to use the knife. So. You can see again, just through the skin. We'll mark that. I'll cut that into 3 roasts. So 1, 2, 3, like that, sit him there. Now we'll do this one. Same again, that piece of skirt, we'll take that out. There's a couple of glands we'll get out of there. Not if you happen to miss a gland, it's not the be all and end all. Like, they don't taste very good, but they won't kill you. So if you happen to miss them, don't stress. Trim this bit of fat off here. That. Again, score this. Flip him over. There. This side. Like that. Mark him with the knife again, cut him into 3 again. You'll see this is your chump here. There's another joint in there which you may or may not hit. I'm just on it there, you can see. Right there, there's a ball joint. That'll be the chump chops or rump steaks if you're going to cut them. But for me, I prefer pork as a roast, so that's why I like to cut it all in the roast. And this is just a basic cut up. Mark that, then once again onto the saw. Take his hock off. I'll take it off just at the his knee joint there. And I'll put a joint in it like I did with the front one. And same with the other one. There's those. I'll just give me a minute, I'll set this up and we'll go over exactly what I've cut here and then I'll show you that, so just bear with me for a minute. Rightio, so I'll just take you through what we've just done. We started off and did our 4/4 roasts, so there's 6 4/4 roasts. Then I moved on and did the rack. There's a rack with that pineapple scoring, you can see that. I think it crackles up really good like that, so you can do it straight, but I've done it as a pineapple score. Then we did the pork cutlets. There they are there. Loin chops. That's those ones there. Then I went on to the pork belly. That's the pork belly just there. And then I did the other side just in the spare ribs. You can see those. They look pretty tasty. And then the last one was the legs, so I cut that into 6 leg roasts. And there they are there. Righto guys, so there's a basic way to cut up a full pig. That's how I would normally do it for myself. If I cut it up for other people, they'll ask for all different things, which I'll do, but that's how I prefer to do it. I prefer a roast from a steak, hence most of it's in the roast. You could bone the shoulders out. I prefer not to, once again. I reckon stuff cooks better on the bone. You cook that slow, cook the shoulders slow, and the bone just falls out anyway, and it's a real tender cut of meat, the shoulder. So that's what I do there. Cutlets, I think they're a nice thing, but I also like a rack, so I did that. Loin chops, you could bone it out, but then you're only going to get steaks, and once again I prefer the bone, so I've done that. Pork belly and spare ribs, same again, either. I'll marinate the spare ribs up, but the belly's really good if you cook it slow and it crackles up beautifully. And leg roasts as well, plenty of crackle on them, and they're bloody spot on. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you can pick up a few tips or tricks from this. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, like, share this video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.